The views and opinions expressed on the Craig L. Hayes Show are not necessarily those of Westgate Resorts, ownership, or management. And now, on with the show.
This is the Craig L. Hayes Show.
All right, we're back. We're back with Tom Porter on episode number 3 of his interview, and we're talking about his experiences in the convention area. I'm finding it very fascinating, a lot of the stuff he got to do, and he saw a huge change in this town in conventions and everything from using just basic televisions to show something to a video screen to now it's all video walls, But Tom, I'd like to get back to a couple things here. One of them being you served in Vietnam, like so many of the guys I've been interviewing. Everyone seems to have been in Vietnam. I'd like to talk about that. Just tell us, if you don't mind, a little bit about Vietnam and your time there, and your a little bit of experiences, if you want to say something, and then we can talk about more of the shows that you've worked here in Las Vegas, because you've worked some big ones.
Well, almost everybody in our age group served in Vietnam. It's kind of hard not to. I got in the Air Force in '66. I think it was November, December. Went to tech school in Lowry in Denver. Got assigned to Homestead Air Force Base in South Florida. And was there about 6 months, and I remember the Pueblo incident happened when the North Koreans took the Pueblo.
Yep.
Well, they sent a squadron over from Seymour Johnson, North Carolina, and they augmented them with troops from Homestead. And so I got sent over in that group, TDY. It was a 5-month tour. Being in Homestead, is South Florida. I got off the plane in Korea in January in a short sleeve shirt. That's all I had.
Little cool there.
Thought I was going to die. It took about 2 weeks before we got parkas. They flew parkas in from Elmendorf. And, man, it was tough. That was the coldest I've ever been. I think that place is just cold. We were in Kunsan, Korea. It was right on the ocean. And interesting place. The people were so friendly. They were so nice over there. And after that, I went back to Homestead, and then about 4 months later, I had orders for Vietnam. I went there. Went to Da Nang Air Base.
That one I have heard plenty about.
Yeah.
You hear Da Nang Air Base a lot from people. That we're over there, I guess. Well, you'd have to, because that's where you all flew in and flew out. So
yeah. They right after I got there, Bob Hope was there with Ann Margaret. And we weren't supposed to be able to go there because that was for the combat troops, but I was way off on a hillside watching it, binoculars. But
okay, so wait a second. So you're over there doing your thing, but because you weren't a combat soldier, you weren't supposed to go to it?
Right, that was just for the combat soldiers, which is fine. I'm all for that. Those guys needed it. They deserved it.
Yeah. I mean, I understand it, but it's like, aren't you on one big team?
Well, we're Air Force. I mean, we fight with a screwdriver.
It's like my little brother said. He was a crew chief on F-16, and he goes, "Yep, we're all high school graduates, and we all send the college graduates off to die."
Yeah.
And you think about it, go, yeah, that's true. Yeah, you send the enlisted men send the officers off to go fight.
Yeah.
Where it's just the opposite in every other branch,
That's true. Very true. So I was there about 3 months, and you have this rotational duty where they pick people out of the squadron to go drive a flash truck for a month, and my turn came up, and flash truck was taking the crews out to the flight line back and forth.
Oh, okay.
Working for maintenance control. Well, I liked that job because I got to go everywhere on the base. I go over to Marine Side, and I go downtown, go to China Beach. And so I worked it out, so I kept that job for the rest of the year.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, another nice thing was the guys working on the planes were working 12-hour shifts 6 days a week. This was 2 days on, 1 day off, 8 hours a day.
Good score on your part, man.
So I had to fill up my time, so I volunteered to run. I flew a couple PSYOPs missions, and one of them we flew this Cessna Skymaster. It had a front and back prop, pusher prop, twin boom on the back.
Yeah, I've seen those, yeah.
Had an LTEC Lansing sound system in it. And we'd fly over the jungle and broadcast these messages, the Chu Hoi messages, to get the Vietnamese or North Vietnamese to surrender. And we promised them thousands of dollars if they turn in a rifle and $10,000 if they turn in a machine gun and all this kind of stuff. And we just fly over the circle in the jungle and did that a couple times. And a couple times we flew on a C-47 and it had a chute in the back. And we'd drop pamphlets, Chu Hoi pamphlets. And we really littered that jungle. We've done millions of those things.
Well, let's see, drop some pamphlets or drop some bombs. They were better off getting some pamphlets,
Yeah. So that added to the experience. And I had taken flight lessons when I was in tech school. I had 15 hours of flying time. So when we flew the Cessna, pilot let me fly it out of Da Nang.
Nice.
And he was doing paperwork. He says, just keep on this course. And so I got to fly for a while.
Nice.
And coming back on one of the trips, we flew over the New Jersey when it opened up, New Jersey battleship. That was something. We were 3,000 feet above it and kind of rocked the plane.
I mean, just, you see the films on it.
Yeah.
And the flame coming out of each one of those barrels. And you realize those barrels are, 40 feet long. And it just spit out a 2,000-pound bomb.
Yeah.
And shot it 25 miles.
Yeah.
Boom. Yeah, the closest I got, I went on to the Missouri there in Hawaii and walked around there and just stared at those guns like, holy crud. Until you've been there and been near them, and it's like, pictures do not do it justice.
Yeah. It's crazy. So it was a good experience. I was not in combat. We had rockets come in a couple of times a month, but it was. I think we lost one man the whole time I was there out of our squadron. They dropped a rocket in the barracks had revetments around them, dirt bunkers filled with dirt.
Yeah,
and they got one inside the bunker.
Oh,
and he hit his cubicle.
Kind of a lucky shot, huh?
For them, not for us.
Yeah, I mean for them. I mean just
So
a little bit one direction or another, you'd hit the dirt basically, and probably just done some damage.
Yeah, the sirens would go off. We all lay down flat, and it'd be over, and that was it. So I really felt for the guys. I picked when I was driving a flash truck, I picked some of the guys coming up out of the boonies, and I'm glad I wasn't one of them. Man, it's tough. After that tour, I ended up in Tucson, Homestead Air Force Base, for 9 months. When I was in Vietnam and I had all that time off, I started studying political science. I wanted to know why we were there and what was going on because it was all in the news. While I was doing that, I got interested in economics because you can't study politics without knowing economics.
Exactly right.
And when I got to Tucson, I signed up at the University of Arizona for some courses in economics. And took a semester. Had to drop out because I ran out of money. And that's when I got my TV repair job at Monkey Ward's.
Monkey Ward's.
And finally, in between, when I left Greyhound and before I started freelancing full time, I went to school here in UNLV and got my degree in economics. Finally got it, summed it up. So, but military was I'm glad I did it. It worked out. It taught you discipline and pay attention to detail. That's probably the main thing they teach you, pay attention to detail, because we really needed that in show business. You've got to pay attention to every little detail. Some shows, if cable isn't hooked up right or tight enough or whatever, and it goes down in the middle of the show, you lost the show.
Yeah.
At least part of it. And you've got to pay attention to every one of those things. When we hook up a video system, we're looking up hundreds of cables. And we do that one day, do a show for 3 days, and tear it all out and go do it again. So every time you do that, you got to really be paying attention to what you're doing.
Yeah, you can't be complacent. That's for sure. And just go, oh, we've done this so many times. And that's the wrong attitude. That's the one's going to get you, bite you in the butt
Yeah.
real quick.
Yeah.
Before every show I would do here, I would walk the battleship basically.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere, look around every little tiny thing.
Right.
Is everything in place? Are we ready to do this? It's just you got to pay attention to every little thing.
Yeah, we were doing a show at Bally's in the convention, and we were using both phases of power, not on each piece of equipment, but we were splitting. Half our equipment was on one phase and half on another phase. We lost one phase right in the middle of the show, and turns out the floor lamps were on the phase that we lost. People, they put the floor lamps so people walking backstage can see on the ground. And we had too many of those on there on the circuit, and that popped the breaker. And half our equipment, my switcher went down. And we had to scramble to find that, and the director's screaming at me. How long is it going to be? I don't know how long it's going to be because I don't know what's wrong. That's the first thing. They never understood it, how long it's going to be. And you can't tell them because you don't know. But
yeah, but they want to know, and that's keeping you from doing what you need to do.
exactly. They keep asking you, and you got to tell them and let me work on the problem.
Yeah. Well, quick reference on that is I'm running sound at Splash at the Riviera years and years back. And something went wrong. The sound stopped in some part of the PA. And I'm out there going, man, what could this be? Underneath the console was a patch bay. All right, so I'll start exercising this stuff. I just start exercising part of it, and the production manager runs out there and starts talking to me. What's wrong? I went, I don't know yet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what are you doing about it? I'm talking to you.
Yep.
I can keep talking to you, or I can try to figure it out and get it back going. What do you
want me to
your
do?
Show. What would you like? What would you like from me? And at that point, they turn on their heel, and they're out the door. They're gone.
Yeah, I said, that guy will never work in this town again.
Yeah, it's like, but it is what it is.
Yeah. We were down in another one I remember down in Mexico City, doing this. Who's the fighter that came out of Henderson?
Don't know. I didn't really pay much attention to the fights and stuff going on.
And he was fighting Cesar Chavez, who was really a great fighter. Had like a 99-1 record. And Haugen, was it? I can't remember.
I'll believe your memory over mine because I didn't really follow a lot of the boxing stuff.
That was a strange place, Azteca Stadium. He had seated 100,000 people. And he had the upper tier and the lower tier. The lower tier were the better seats. The upper tier, they had to screen off the upper tier because they would throw bottles down on the lower tier. So, and then where my scaffold was, there was a tunnel behind me, and there was 50 armed policemen stored there, staged there. And one of the problems we had, you know what Stewart screens are? They're the real expensive video screens, front projection screens.
Oh, I know the daylight ones
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
These are way above daylight.
Oh, okay.
And we had 4 of them up there, 29 feet wide. And they were throwing their beer bottles at him every time an American fighter come on stage or in the ring.
Wow.
Those things were thousands of dollars a piece. But I was up there in the middle of the show. I was a little worried about, being an American down there and everything. So I was talking to a really nice guy, a local guy, Pablo. And I said, I'm a little worried about how people are going to react to me standing up and blocking their view and everything because their scaffolds are up pretty high. And he says, I'll tell you what, I'll get you a headband, a Chavez headband. He's a local fighter. You wear that and they'll think you're one of us.
Oh, okay.
So I got to do that. But I was up there halfway through the show. I looked behind me, and one of the local electricians has my 100 amps power cable in his hand with a knife, and he's cutting into it, peeling the insulation back because he wants to run a drill, and he's got bare wires on a drill and on a plug, and he ties it
Oh,
in
my
with electric.
heavens.
That's how they get their power. They just strip off some insulation, put the wire on, tie it up with electrical tape. I'm screaming, and no. I figured this guy's going to get electrocuted.
Yeah.
That's a 100 amp service, 240.
Oh my. Jeez.
He finally listened to me and taped it back up. Oh my God.
Oh. Yeah. Well, I have seen plenty of that on some of the shows we've done in this hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these groups that tour up from south of our border,
Yeah.
and they bring their lighting and stuff, and it's just amazing. It still runs, it works or anything.
Right.
Literally, you hear, duct tape and baling wire. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They keep their stuff working, but they keep it working.
Yeah.
What are you going to say about it? It's like, yeah, this stuff wouldn't pass any code that we're doing here, but it's your stuff. So
Another time we were on the Simon and Garfunkel tour. We were in. I was supposed to do Houston, and next day Scott Chase was going to do Dallas. Well, Houston, they had a tornado coming up, or not a hurricane coming up, and they canceled the Houston show. And so they sent me up. So you go up to Dallas and you can do the Dallas show with Scott. So he and I worked together for once. The only time we got together on that whole tour. And this was the time, well, because of the hurricane coming up, towards the halfway through the show, it started to rain. And we were covered, but it became a drenching downpour. And they kept the show going. But Paul Simon kept getting shocked on the stage because he's standing in water and his electric guitar, and he was getting shocked. And they kept the show going. I couldn't believe it. But the loadout was terrible. All that rain.
yeah, I've never had to do. I remember when Caesars used to do those outdoor concerts behind Caesar's Palace,
Right.
and I never had to do one. I was always wanted to do them because I wanted to go see the show. Go sneak in the back and watch part of the show, and then go load the show out. But yeah, same thing. It always seemed to want to rain on those concert days.
Yeah.
So I was kind of glad I never got called in for one of them. But
Well, that was the advantage of doing projection, Mike. You got to see all these shows and learn things. We did so many medical shows and real estate shows and investment shows and conventions on everything. I did a whole week of echocardiogram. Doctors would bring in their echocardiograms and explain them and read them and talk about them. I could read those fairly well.
yeah. But you take advantage of it. You've already shown that it's like going to another class.
Yeah.
You've already shown that you like going to classes. You'll take every class you can. So yeah, I think I did one of those one time. But I can't remember what it was, but it was some kind of a medical thing. But I don't remember what it was talking about. But I was learning something. Maybe it'll come to me. It's been too long. I didn't do them very often, and I didn't enjoy them. But something about that convention, the medical thing, was interesting. I just don't remember what it was. Yeah.
Even when we were doing rear screen, I still had to sit up front because on the PJs we had remotes that we control with projector, so we'd still sit up front and still paint the projector while the show was live, so we always saw what was going on. So that was an advantage. But yeah, I learned a lot about real estate, about investing, just everything you could think of that they hold a convention for. The multi-level market, those are the great ones.
Yeah, we were talking. I said the Amway. I did Amway
Yeah.
one time, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to do Amway again.
And they had A.L. Williams and
Oh yeah. I remember that one too. Yeah.
Equinox was one of our favorites. The president of the company had himself on center stage, and he had all his staff workers pointing up to him, holding their hands up in his directions, and then he brought out a laser halo around him like he was the supreme being. Oh, God.
Wow.
Yeah. Selling perfume products or women's products like that.
Yeah. What other shows did you do? I mean, you've done medical. You've done a bunch. Did you ever do like any of the Microsoft ones and
Yes.
stuff like that?
Yes.
We used to do those keynotes here.
Yeah. I worked on those.
Yeah.
I worked on the ones here, as a matter of fact. We worked together and didn't know it.
Yep, I think that's what it was. There was,
Were you here with the President Reagan one when the guy smashed the teleprompter?
no, I was not here for that one.
Yeah, I was backstage on that one. I was up on the scaffold. One of our cameramen saw a guy on stage and said through the PL system, "There's somebody on stage that doesn't belong there." And I was trying to get the Secret Service guy's attention. It was down below my scaffold. And just then the guy walked out on stage, picked up the trophy that he had on his podium, and smashed a teleprompter glass with it. And then, of course, they dragged him out.
Yeah, but had the guy really wanted to do harm, the
Oh,
harm
yeah.
would have been done.
Yeah.
Secret Service, what were you doing? Come
Exactly. How
on.
they let him on stage?
You know,
He was dressed grubby, blue jeans and flannel shirt.
I
And,
mean, they're failures today.
yeah.
Over and over again. And we've been watching that. It's like, you guys, and this is the former president who had been shot. Reagan had been shot once because of
Yeah.
breakdowns in the system.
Right. And this is afterwards.
It's like, come on, guys. But yeah, we probably did it. I mean, Dale and John, I remember them. They did they were the utilities. Got all the stuff set up.
Oh, Dale. Dale Smith. Yeah.
Dale and Jonna.
John Yerzik.
Yeah,
Johnny Yerzik. Yeah, good friends of mine.
good guys, man.
Yeah,
Love to
both
have
gone now. My favorite shows, I got to be a stage manager for, it was a segment for the telethon. Those were always fun because you get to meet some really cool people. It had Bob Hope, Charlton Heston, and Larry Holmes.
Mm.
And we were at Caesar's convention area, and there was a boxing ring in the middle of the room. And they were simulating boxing between Larry Holmes and Bob Hope, and Charlton Heston was the referee. And I was laying in the middle of the ring on my back with a shotgun mic pointed up, and they were supposed to dance around me and do a dialogue. And of course, the cameras were shooting from the waist up. And Larry couldn't read the cue cards. I think he's dyslexic,
Oh, okay.
but he couldn't read the cue cards, so I had to stand beside him, and we ended up, I'd whisper in his ear, and he'd just repeat.
Oh,
And so I think they had to dub it all in afterwards. But that was a lot of fun working with those guys. And another time I was at Bally's. We were doing a Rich Little special. And down the hallway, where they had the Walk of Fame?
yes.
Bally's, the original Bally's. It was
Yep.
MGM Grand then.
Yep.
And he was walking down there, and I was running a camera dolly, pushing the camera dolly. And we had stopped, take a break, and Robin Williams walks up. And now you got Rich Little and Robin Williams, two great comedians. Robin Williams just started in a dialogue, 15 minutes nonstop. The whole crew was surrounded, and we were just dying laughing. He was the funniest guy I have ever heard in my life, and he wouldn't stop. He just kept going and going and going. It was great.
Yeah.
Things like that make you really appreciate being in this business. Those
Yeah.
are the things that really stand out.
Absolutely. I've had so many of those back here myself.
Yeah,
too.
you work in the show.
working these rooms and standing backstage and talking to almost every one of these guys.
Yeah.
They walk out on stage, and
Yeah.
it's just totally amazing. The best job in the world.
Right.
But it's showbiz. That's what we do.
Loving it.
Well, we're getting close to the end of this episode. Do you think you have enough to go farther? Probably not. But if we do, we can do is get together again. Sometimes you come up with a whole bunch more stories or something. I'd love to say, hey, come on back. Let's do another episode.
Okay. Well, we get a lot of other guys that have been interviewed that got longer stories than I do. When we have our Wednesday luncheons, boy, they just go on for hours talking about all the stories and hardly ever repeat them. There's just so many different stories about our business.
Yep, and I'm going to try to get almost everybody that's there to come in here eventually and tell us. I'm working with the guys that are a lot older, and then we're going to work backwards a little bit, because I don't want to lose. When we lose these guys, we're going to lose all these amazing stories and all these amazing things that happened in this town.
Right.
And I'd like to preserve it somehow.
Yeah.
And
This is doing it.
this type of a thing, I think, will help that quite a bit.
Yeah.
So, well, Tom, thanks for coming in, man. I was so
Thanks for inviting
appreciate
me.
you,
I
and
really enjoyed it.
I appreciate you coming in. It was like, you know, we've worked around each other, but never worked with each other per se. So I knew you did a lot of stuff in the hall, and you've done stuff there. But you know, I knew who you were, but didn't know you personally. And I've gotten to know you a little bit over the last year or so, and I've really enjoyed that part of it. And hopefully, I'll get out to the luncheon again with all our fellow retirees and
Love to have you.
get out there and have a little chat with everybody again. And hopefully, I'll have most of those guys recorded and on YouTube. So.
I like to tell your audience, make sure they read some of your books. They're pretty good.
Oh, thank you.
Really good.
Well, I've done 5 of them.
Yep.
I'm working on number 6 right now, but
All right.
it's more of an autobiography I'm writing for my kids and grandkids, just so
Good.
they can laugh at Grandpa how goofy he was growing up. So
Very good.
So, anyways, with that, Talbot Snow, take it away.
This is the Craig L. Hayes Show.